Welcome! In this session, we will learn about inheritance in object-oriented programming, and we will learn it with the help of an example. Suppose we have a class named car, and it has few properties like color, number of doors, and a few functions like start and stop. And we have another class named Ford. As Ford is a car, so it will also have all of these properties and functions. So the relation between Ford and car is a relation that Ford is a car. So Ford will have all those properties and functions that are inside car. One way of achieving this is that we rewrite all the properties and functions that are in car class in our Ford class as well. And the second way of doing it is inheritance. So here inheritance comes in play. That by using inheritance we can simply use all the properties that are in car and all the functions that are in car simply in Ford by just using inheritance. Similarly, we have another class named Honda. It will also have all the properties and functions that are in car because they have is a relation that Honda is a car. So we can simply achieve this by using inheritance. So by this class car, when we use inheritance and inherit these two classes Ford and Honda, all the properties and functions in our car class will automatically be added in our Ford class and Honda class. So that is benefit of inheritance, that we need not to rewrite all of these things there in these classes. So they are simply present in these both classes. So when we inherit other classes from a parent class, that is the car class, we have inherited three classes: Ford, Honda and Toyota. We can also inherit other classes from this class car. So the top class from where we inherit other classes is called parent class, and all the inherited classes are called child classes. They have another name as well. Parent class can also be called as base class, and child classes can also be called as derived classes. So all the properties and functions that are in car class will be separately added to all inherited classes. That is, the Ford class will be having car class functionality, and in addition to that it will have other functionality that is specific to Ford. Similarly, Honda class will have car class functionality, and in addition to that other functionality specific to Honda. Similarly, that is case with Toyota, that it will have car functionality, all the things of car class, and in addition to that, it will have other functionality specific to Toyota. So that is benefit of inheritance, that we get all the properties and functions from parent class and child classes, and then we can have other functionality related to those child classes as well. Because Ford, Honda and Toyota are different companies, so they will be having some specific properties to their brand as well. So that will be added to these classes. So this is a benefit of object-oriented programming, that data reusability. Suppose we have a base class that has 20 properties and 100 functions. Now if we want to add all these properties and functions to some other class, we need not to rewrite them. We can simply inherit that class from this base class, and it will become a derived class, and it will have all those properties and functions inside that class, and in addition to that it can have other properties and functions that are specific to that derived class. So this is a great benefit of inheritance, that is data reusability. We can reuse data from our base class into our derived class without writing and repeating that code again and again. So that's all from this session. Welcome! In this session we will learn about inheritance. Inheritance is a very important concept in object-oriented programming. So I'm in code editor and we have a class named person. So to have inheritance we need to have a is a relation. So what class can inherit from this person class? There are a lot of classes that can inherit from this person class, as we have example of student, teacher, and many more. Student can inherit from this class person, so we can inherit student class. I will go ahead and make a student class. So now we have a student class. Now how we can inherit this class from person? We have to add these two round brackets. Start. Welcome! In this session we will learn about inheritance. Inheritance is very important in object-oriented programming. So start. Welcome! In this session, we will learn about inheritance. Inheritance is very important in object-oriented programming. So, we have a class named person here and we can inherit other classes from this person class. And to have inheritance, we need to have a is-a relation. That is, we can have other classes like student, teacher, employee, and many more that are like student is a person, teacher is a person, employee is a person. So whatever we have, whenever we have a is a relationship, we can inherit those classes from this person class. So let's make another class, that is student. Now we have a student class, and how we can inherit it, we need to have two round brackets here, and inside these two round brackets we will write the name of that class from which this class will inherit. So I write person here. Now what we are saying by writing this is we have another class student and it inherits from this person class. So this student class already has all these things which are in person class. Now we need not to rewrite this, or we need not to duplicate this code. So that is the benefit of inheritance, that because we know that student can eat, student can also walk, student have a name, age, gender and height. These all things also belong to student as they belong to person. So student can have all these things in real life. When we think of that, what student can have all these things because student is a person. So we have all these things already in this class student. This is very beneficial. When we have big classes that we want to like reuse, we can simply inherit them in other classes. So I will go ahead and add a few other things in this student class, because this student class will have some specific things to student as well. So all of these things are already inside, but we can, on top of this, we can have other properties and functions. So what things that are specific to student we can have in this class? Like student can have a roll number. Student can have a roll number. Like initially I will put it equal to, let's say, 0, because it will be an integer thing. Because as he is a student, he will be having a roll number that a person to a specific cannot have. So student can have a roll number because he is a student. Student can have marks. I will initially put it equal to 100, let's say default value. So student can have marks on top of what we have in person class that are only specific to student. Now these can be the properties, and we can have any number of properties and more properties here as we want. Now I can make a function here like student can attend class, student can take class. So I will have a function name take class. So this function is specific to student, that student can take class, that he can attend class. So what I will write in this body of this function, I will say taking class. So now we have one more function in this student class that is on top of these all other functions which we have there. So this class takes this takes class function. Now when we will make object of the student class, all of these things, I can access all these things which I have here in these both classes. So I will go ahead and make a object here like student with small s equal to student. Now we can provide all of these name, age, gender and height, because this constructor is in person class, but we have also this is available in student class. So what I can do here is I can write name. For example, I write Hamza. And what is the age? Age, I can say it will be an integer, so I can say 25. And then I can write like gender, male. After that, height, I can write let's say 6. So we have a student named Hamza with age 25, gender male, and height 6 feet. So now we can call these some functions on this, like writing the name of the object student dot. Now when I write a dot operator, as you can see, it shows me that what I can call on this object. I can call age, name, walk, eat, height, gender, and it is showing me all these functions and properties that are in person class. And on top of that, as you can see here, marks and roll number is also there. So these marks and roll number are in the student class, but they are not in person class. So I can also call these things here. So let's call some functions from this person class like eat. When I call this function eat, as it is in person class and it is also available in student, so it should call this function eat. So I will go ahead and run this. As you can see, it says eating. So I have this specific function in the student class. Now I can call this function take class, student dot take class. Now take class is in student class, so it should also call that. As you can see, it says taking class. So that is benefit of inheritance. I can call all these functions, all these properties and methods on the student class, but when I make a person class object, I can only call these things that are in person class. I cannot call these student related things in person class because student inherits from person. Person doesn't inherit from student. So in student I have these other things, but in person class I have only these things which I have already there. So in student class I can call all of these things. So this adds to this person class. I can have other classes like teacher, employee as well, depending upon our requirement that what system we are building there. So in this session we have learned about inheritance. That's all from this session.